All right, welcome to a special edition of the Route K-12 podcast. We are live from the famous South by Southwest Education Conference in beautiful, wild, and weird Austin, Texas. This is Jim Cowen from the Collaborative for Student Success, and I am surrounded by a packed room of awesome and slightly rowdy teachers, leaders, technical experts, but everybody here is a devoted professional who cares about education. Thank you for what you guys are doing and what you're doing here at South by Southwest. How about a round of applause just for you all for being here? Thank you.
Okay, you guys are amazing already.
So I want to note that thanks to you all being here, you have helped to contribute $10,000 worth of math-related supplies and supports to Austin teachers. So give it up for yourselves for doing that. Thank you for doing that. Much needed stuff for the educators in this community, and we are happy to make that happen. So the song that you heard leading into our session just now is called Wait For It by the Toronto-based band Goodnight Sunrise. The lead singer for Goodnight Sunrise is Vanessa Vakharia. Fun fact about Vanessa, beyond being just a talented musician and legitimate rock star, she is also a math expert. She's the founder and CEO of The Math Guru, which is an innovative tutoring studio in Toronto. She is also the author of Math Hacks, Cool Tips plus Less Stress equals Better Marks. And she's the host of the popular podcast Math Therapy of her own. And there's one last fun fact about Vanessa. She happens to be sitting right here next to me. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. The Lady Gaga of Math, Vanessa Vakharia, everyone. Woo!
Can you guys all just follow me around like in my life? Because like I need this energy, quite frankly.
All right, Vanessa, thank you for being here. And I gotta say, just you being on the stage, just upped the cool factor of the stage by like 1,000% of being next to me. So
not 1,000%.
it is 1,000. It is mathematically sound. It is mathematically sound. Okay, let's get into this, shall we? So today we want to talk about the beliefs and the anxieties around math. Why do we believe that some people aren't math people when it is our nature as human beings to solve problems? So when you hear that question, Vanessa, what do you think? What do you believe is important kind of context to consider around that?
Okay. Why do we have this idea that there's such a thing as a math person? I could go on and on. I think I have 2 minutes for this question. There are so many reasons. I think many of us as educators know that a lot of those reasons happen in households. They happen in families, they happen in schools where we often only teach math in one way to suit one particular way of learning. And I'd like to argue that they happen on Netflix. They happen in media. They happen in places where we only see the exact same type of people represented as knowing and being able to do math. So I think they're happening on a systemic level, a collective level, a societal level, and an individual level. And it really, truly takes a village. It takes every single one of us here in this room, because knowledge is power. The more we know where these stereotypes come from and where our kids are getting this idea that math is not for them, the more we can work together to fight that stereotype.
How harmful is that for students to have that be told to their
Okay, so I'm gonna say something to you guys that is not hyperbole to me. I believe that anybody who has the privilege of teaching math, whether you're a parent, a friend, an elementary teacher, a high school teacher, you have an opportunity that no one else does. And that is because well over 50% of kids are told at a young age that math is not for them. They're taught, you've got other strengths. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Oh, well, you're just not talented. That's just not your thing. Well, people like you are just more creative. They are given that message. And I want you guys to imagine a kid in your life that you love at a young age thinking, oh my God, there's something on this planet I'm just born not able to do. that sets up a scaffolding for a lifetime of limiting beliefs. They get kicked off the soccer team or they don't make it. They're like, I'm not an athlete. They go to karaoke and they get booed. They're like, I can never start a rock band. They get dumped in their first relationship. They're like, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. You're all watching Love is Blind. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, there is that narrative. And we start that, and it might sound crazy to say, for so many kids, the first limiting belief they will ever get is that they can't do math. So if we here can bust that myth, you're not just changing a student's capacity to become proficient or to like math, you're changing their thought. Their first thought becomes, and this happened to me, I failed grade 11 math twice. I was always told I wasn't a math person. My first thought was, what else can I do? What else can I do? I've been told my whole life I can do math, and that's a lie. So what else can I do? And the first thing I did was start a rock band. So that's how important I think it is. And I think it's important because we want kids to grow up that way. But we as a world, we need to raise kids who believe that we can solve the problems on this planet that have not been solved yet. You pick your favorite issue, what's the most important to you, the thing that has been around forever and ever. We want kids to say, you know what? That can change, and I believe that can change because I believe I can change. And that's how powerful it is.
Okay, so yesterday, you participated in a little bit of person on the street interviews, which was a blast.
With many of the people here.
Lots of people that are in this room from that, where you were directly confronting people with this question about, do you consider yourself a math person? What did you learn? Like, what did you hear from people?
Okay, well, some of you are in this room, so I'm not going to point you out.
How many of you were
How many of you did I interview?
Got accosted, approached by...
Accosted is a bit strong. It's so crazy, guys, because I think I do this work, so I know, I've had these conversations, but I heard some heartbreaking things. Like, I met numerous female CEOs who would say in one breath, oh, I'm not a math person, and the next breath, I'm the CEO of a tech company and I do all of our profit and loss. And I'd be like, what? Like, you hear these heartbreaking stories of people who don't think they're math people because of things that happen to them. Like, well, I can't be a math person because I was in remedial math. Like, oh, well, I can't be a math person because I was just I failed this, or I'm not fast, or but I need to use a calculator. Am I allowed to be a math person? So I think there was a lot, and what was really interesting I found is there were a few, we did groups of friends, and there'd be 4 of them, and one of them would be like, I'm not a math person, and then I would say to their friends, do you guys agree? And all of them would look at their friend and be like, what? No. And I think that was so interesting because so often we have such negative narratives about ourselves, and without people outside of us who we trust to help us break those narratives, we carry around those stories.
It was fun to be part of the crew that was following you around, just to watch this go down, because in the beginning we were talking and sort of preparing Vanessa for this, and she was like, what do you want me to ask them? And we're like, just run with it. And it just kind of took on a life of its own after a while. Were there some surprises that you found?
I mean, I think I'm always surprised when I hear such dichotomous views of what it means to be a math person. So when somebody says something literally to me, it's 2024, right? So I like to think, I'm always we've progressed, we've moved past these stereotypes. And then I hear people reiterate the same stereotypes that have harmed them today, and to say things like, well, I mean, I'm not a math person because I'm creative. When they just say that right to my face, and I have to be like, well, but I'll tell you the biggest surprise. Okay, so a guy said to me, and again, I'm not surprised. Someone's already laughing at a guy said to me. Fair. A guy said to me, I said, do you consider yourself a math person? And he goes, absolutely. And I go, why? And this is what he said to me. Talent and creativity are 2 separate things. You're born with talent, and you can learn creativity. And math ability is a talent. Can you imagine? You guys have known me for 5 minutes, but that I was like, really? I was like, tell me more. I was like, oh, interesting. And he really had a deeply held belief that you're born with a math gene. And a lot of people believe that. I've never encountered, and so what's crazy, I don't use this a lot, but I was like, well, it's so interesting you said that. What a great opportunity. I was like, I'm an expert in this. So I can just let you know right now that there's no scientific evidence to back that fact up. Do you want to know what he said? He goes, Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so maybe, but like, you know, and went on, and I was like, I told you it. I told you. And what I think was honestly, I don't want to like, we had an incredible conversation, and I think we both learned a lot from each other in that moment and our perspectives, and he did walk away being like, well, you've given me something to think about. But I thought what was interesting for all of us is that belief is so deeply held by so many people that even in the face of me being like, but scientifically that's not true, and challenging his belief, it was hard for him. I don't know where he is now. He's not here. I want to be like, did you think about what I said? But like, but the point is that belief still exists. So for many of us who've moved past that belief, there are people out there who really believe math is genetic. It cannot be learned, and some people have it and some don't. And I think that is what we need to get rid of.
Who was your most hopeful one? Like there were a few of them that I thought were great. Like,
can we talk about? Okay.
Well, first off,
Sorry.
no, it's great. First off, I just was cracking up because everyone wanted to talk. I was like wondering if people were going to want to talk, and they did. In fact, South by Southwest people, we love you, but they asked us to move across the street at one point, so we kind of got kicked out of in front of the building. But it didn't really matter because like we still had a lot of people that were coming by, like, yeah, I want to talk to you about math. And like the construction guy that came by was like, yeah, I want to talk about math. But what was the most hopeful one that you heard from someone?
So I think it's really hard. Like I was nervous because a lot of my work is in math trauma. Like I'm a math therapist and I want to help people heal their relationships with math. And we know that I don't want to do it in a performative way, right? Like I don't want to be like, so now after 2 minutes, are you a math person? Like, but a lot of people on their own were coming to that conclusion. Like I think about those these two girls who I loved so much. They had just met and they were both CEOs of tech companies and both came into it being like, no, I'm not a math person. And just them, I wasn't even saying anything. And I was like, so you're doing like profit and loss statements for a tech company? Like, how do you justify that as not being math? And them kind of being like, I guess it was just the way we weren't good at classroom math, or we were told that we weren't doing math in the right way. And through that, just like they both, like I felt like I was gonna cry, but like didn't want to ruin my eyeliner kind of thing. They both at the end looked at each other without me prompting, and they were like, I guess I am a math person. And it's those moments, I think, and we've had, like, look, we're obviously doing this work here, and we're here to, like, record this podcast, but I said to Jim before, I was like, we're already doing it. Like, these conversations that we've had with so many of you guys, and the conversations you'll have after this, it's those little micro pieces of how change happens. And you guys know as educators, when you see that aha moment in a student, like when you're just like, there, it clicked, and just seeing so much of that, I think was very moving. And to be like, it feels like such an impossible thing. And so many people just say it's always going to be a stereotype, but like little by little, it changes.
So we're going to be taking those clips that we got from people and just pulling out some of the really, really salient points and turning them into social media fodder that we can push out in April. So more to come on that work there. So thank you for doing the debate me effort yesterday. That was a blast, and we had a lot of fun with that. Okay, we're at the point now where I want to have a little bit of audience engagement time now with a little bit of tech. Fingers crossed this is going to work. We're going to be using something called Slido, and we have a QR code here. I am such the wrong person to be talking about QR codes and tech. However,
look, they're all fine. They're all doing it.
They're all good. Everybody's just doing it. Yeah, no. And I want to dig in on these myths. Like this session is about busting myths. So Vanessa, let's talk about each one of these myths. I'm curious. So the setup question is, what do you believe is society's biggest math myth for you? Now, wow. Oh, there's probably just one person came in there. Here we go. It's working. It's working. And we know that for those who are listening to this later on, that you don't see these. So we're going to tell you all about them and which ones are kind of coming in with the crowd that we've got. And at a later time, at the end of this, we're going to have another QR code where we hope you will be interested in learning more. You'll be able to get this podcast, a whole series of other resources, and we can stay in touch with you as this campaign gets on moving further. But, okay.
Oh, there's like such a strong lead here that I'm getting like
strong
emotional.
Lead. All right.
Okay, so these
let's
are
talk
some
about the first.
Let's talk about the first one. These are some of the things we were hearing on the street. And wow, coming in hot at 52% right now. Being good at math means that it comes naturally to you. I think that is the biggest and most harmful myth, because we talk about growth mindset a lot, and I think we forget that many of our students parents were not raised with growth mindset. Many of us weren't. Many are, and this is the most harmful thing, because if something needs to come naturally to you, it's like what I said about that guy, then you can never change. And so I think that is probably the most harmful myth. Like, being good at math means you can do mental math and never need to use a calculator. That, I'm sorry, guys, Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting, why? Right? Like it's like every single show about a mathematician. They're like, oh, I see the numbers and I never need to, we need to stop. Like, cool for you that you can do mental math. Great skill. That doesn't make you good at math. It makes you good at one part of math. Math skills are genetic. Some people are born better than others. I think that's similar to the first one, but some people truly believe there is a gene. Being good at math is all about being fast. I love this myth. Because... And no fault of ours, I think so many educators are bound by districts and their boards, and we can't not do timed tests, but all of us grew up with timed tests. All of us were told that the way to perform mathematically was to do something in a certain amount of time. How many of you guys are traumatized by Mad Minutes? Yeah, exactly. For podcast listeners, hands are going up right now.
Yes, many hands.
But the craziest part is, this is what I always tell my students, if you look at the job of any professional mathematician or scientist who uses math, they make money because they are not fast. Like, imagine someone was like, I'm going to develop a cure. I'm done in one day. Like, you just are out of a job, pal. Right? Like, it's like you're literally supposed to be and that goes to the next one. Being good at math means you don't make mistakes. True professional mathematicians and scientists are making mistakes. They're learning from them. They're collaborating. They're doing all of the things we tell kids not to do in the classroom. We're doing all the things we don't value. And it's interesting because here we are, all of us trying to do this work and saying like, no, it's not about being fast. It's not about being mistakes. But then assessment is like, you actually need to be fast and get the answer right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How many doctors have you been to where you're like, I'm done. 5 minutes, I'm done. Like, no, take your time, please.
Please go a little slower.
Go a little slower.
Please go a little. Please get off.
Check your work.
Google.
Right?
Yeah.
Have we gone through all of them already? All right. Then the next question is, what did we miss? What else are you thinking of? Because I'm sure people are like, well, you didn't talk about this. You didn't mention this. So I see some people typing and putting some things in. This is the typey part. So while the typey part is going on,
it's anonymous too. We won't know.
It is anonymous. Yeah.
If you want to be like, actually, never mind.
So while the typey part is going on, a few are coming in. All right.
The ability to do.
Girls are bad at math.
Whoa! What is happening right now?
For those
okay, guys,
many are coming through. Cultural stereotypes.
Well, there's
You'll be successful
much
at
of
higher level math.
People who like math are not likable. I love whoever put that up. Yeah.
Math is for boys. Fluent in algebra. Algebra is a gatekeeper. Some races are better at math than others.
Oh my God. Okay, wow. Okay, there's so much going on in here. Keep it coming. There's a lot of gender stuff, so I feel the need to tell you guys that my master's thesis was called Imagining a World Where Paris Hilton Loves Math. And I deeply studied this, and that's why I keep mentioning Netflix. Can we talk about that first, maybe quick? Because so many of you are putting it up. We're talking about cultural differences. We're talking about race. We're talking even about the idea that math isn't creative, that you're not likable if you like math. And I think it's really interesting because so I have a marketing background. That was my first degree before I went into education. And I've always been deeply obsessed because we know our students are so obsessed with media. And I had these girls, I remember I was teaching grade 10 math, and I had these girls in my class. There were 10 of them. They were all getting 90s. And all of them were like, oh, no. Like, it was a fluke. Like, I'm not actually good at it. And I was like, what is going on here? And it made me really think that, like, we are doing all of this work, but we're so not supported in our work. Because we're in the classroom trying to fight these messages that are happening on such a broad scale that it's like we say to our students, no, math is for everyone. And then they go out and they get on TikTok and like the girl math trend is the thing that's trending. You know what I mean? And like just reinforcing the stereotype that women can't do math. And like, has anyone, let's do a show of hands, has anyone seen a movie where the cheerleader is good at math? One? Who? What movie?
Didn't it like Mean Girls?
No, but the cheerleader's bad at math. Lindsay Lohan's good at math. But thank you for bringing that up. But this is my point. It's 2024. We haven't seen that movie. We are telling people, and not even just girls. We're telling people that are not traditionally the traditional version of a mathematician that they have to ditch their identity at the door if they want to be good at math. They can't be likable. They can't have a social life. They like all of these things, and that pushes so many people out of it. Because if I'm me, I mean, I've spent a lot of time being told I don't belong in the math space just because of who I am as a person. I'm not going to sacrifice my entire identity as a 16-year-old girl just to do math. I'm not going to do that. And so I think we really have to start taking that seriously and to see how that happens. Do you want to talk about some of the other ones?
Yeah, sure. Let's go through a few more.
I
Math
really
is
liked-
boring and difficult.
Okay, what?
Math is boring and difficult.
Well, no, I'm kidding. Sometimes it can be.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it can be, but it doesn't have to be. I think that has a lot to do with curriculum and content and yeah.
Here's a good one. There's only one way to get the right answer.
Okay, so I really wanted to talk
Yeah,
about that
I
one,
know,
and
I know.
I want to bridge that into all math is the same math. I think this is a really good discussion to be having right now because we're talking about how to change the stereotype and how to include more people. There's only one way to get the right answer is one of my favorite things right now because I feel like a lot of us are like, oh my God, like one way to get if we're bound by assessment, one way to get out of the only way to be successful in my classes about the answer is to start emphasizing thinking above all else, to start putting the biggest focus you can on thinking. So when you have a math problem, I remember like when I went to school, I could do all the steps right to a problem, or I could be doing something, but if I didn't do it the exact way my teacher told me to, and if I didn't get the right answer, all my work was worth nothing. So what I really like now is this idea of there are multiple ways to get the right answer, and the more we can emphasize thinking and walk around the room when our students are doing work and say, hey, okay, you're not actually heading where I necessarily wanted you to, but this is such a cool way of thinking. I want you to show, if you're comfortable with it, I want you to show that to the class. I've never seen someone think that way before. There's no wrong way to think. There might be a wrong answer. There might be a wrong way to get to it. Fine, but there's no wrong way to think. And that's something you can show every kid that they are valued for. There's an activity I've been doing a lot called My Favorite Mistake, where you're like, I've never seen someone make that mistake before. That is so cool, right? And that's how we take growth mindset from a place where it's just like a belief to an actual behavior that is being rewarded in the same way as the right answer we value so much. And then this idea of all math is the same math. Another way to open the gate for everyone. Math is, yes, sure, it could be being fast, it could be mental math, it could be not getting the right answer. You know what else math is? It's putting together furniture. It's understanding IKEA instructions, because I quite frankly don't. It's being the person who's like, why is everyone suddenly wearing Crocs? Like, what is this pattern or trend? It's packing a car. It's like, my band went on tour last year, and I'm in a band with 4 dudes who hate math. And my guitarist, he basically got kicked out of high school. He hates math. Do you guys know what a Suburban is? Like the vehicle, a Suburban? I want you to picture 5 people in that car with all of our band gear, a drum set, 2 guitars, everything, all of our merch. And every day after a show at 2 a.m, he'd put on his packing gloves and he'd be like, all right, he'd be packing it so perfectly, Tetrising it. And one time he even turned around in the middle of a frenzy and was like, I need a trapezoid-shaped guitar case. And I was like, did you just use the word trapezoid in real life? I'm like, you're doing math. I don't have that skill. I can barely pack my suitcase. So I think the more we broaden the definition of what math is, the more we invite everyone to find their skill and to feel a sense of belonging.
I think you just hit that last one too, which is math only involves numbers. That's the exact thing that you're talking about. Can we talk a little bit about the guy at the Whole Foods earlier? And we're jumping the gun a little bit. But so the bags that we've been handing out say, how many apples are in this bag? And so we've been trying to figure that out and taking guesses from people. And, we've had a wide range of guesses.
Say the range.
From 10 to 1,300. Now, seriously.
I should have asked him to show his thinking.
Show your work.
Because I'm actually so, I want to know.
But we went over to figure out how many apples were in this. And tell me what happened we were going in to get the apples.
Well, first of all, they told us to stop filming. So that's number one.
we got kicked out of Whole Foods.
We got kicked out of Whole Foods, but in a very loving way. So, oh my God, why is that on the screen?
You're looking at a fantastic image of
Okay,
Vanessa with the bag of apples.
Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, so we asked everyone to guess how many apples would fit in the bag, and we go in and we're like piling the apples in the bag, and we get to the cash register, and there's two people there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We're like, can we buy all these apples?" And they're like, you can, but do you want to? And we're like, "How many apples do you think this is?" And they're like, "I don't know."
Don't
and we're
give
like,
the answer yet, because we're going to tell them at the
okay,
very
no,
end.
I won't give the answer, okay? But I'm like, "Do you guys consider yourselves math people?" And they were like, "No." So they both guess, okay? They both guess, and then they weigh the bag, and it's, am I allowed to say how many pounds it was? How many pounds was it?
28.9.
It's 28.9 pounds. And then the guy who has guessed a number I will not tell you he takes one of the apples and he puts it on the scale. And I'm like, what are you about to do? And he's like, well, yeah, exactly. I'm like, he divided the number of pounds by how much that apple, this guy who's not a math person.
Who said, I'm not a math person.
But guys, no, wait, he got it right. On the dot. He got the number.
Nailed it.
He nailed
it.
And we're all freaking out. The manager comes over. He's like, what? I'm like, this guy, what? Then we go out and do this whole situation here.
Vanessa's doing cartwheels down the sidewalk,
Because I'm like
excited.
freaking out. And the two cashiers are pressed to the window being like, did I get it right? We count. He got it right on the dot.
And inside, they're jumping up and down because they got it right.
We're all freaking out. And I'm like, it was a very moving experience. And then I was like, got so excited I ate that apple, and I probably am going to die because it was so dirty by the time it got to my mouth.
That's pretty gross. But it gets to this idea of what we're trying to do through this campaign, which is like, we're all problem solvers. We're all geared to this. And we really need to stop saying that you're not a math person. Can we talk a little bit about yesterday after the debate bee thing? So we had a room set up, and I think some of you were participants in this, but we just started interviewing experts and people that came in. How many were involved with that? Is Rebecca Peterson here?
We were there.
Thank you for being involved. 2023 National Teacher of the Year, Rebecca Peterson. If you have not heard her or met her, she is fantastic. And we had a great conversation. A couple of points that I pulled away from her, and I'm curious to hear like other things that we kind of noted in that. I know you weren't there for all of them, but I know you have some points. She talked about how she couldn't speak English when she first got to the U.S., and math became her kind of superpower, because numbers translate across language. And she was able to use math to make friends, to understand things, to work in groups together. And it was a perspective that I just hadn't thought of a power of something like math for her. She's like, that became like a lifeline for me, like a life raft. And I found that really moving. I also asked her about how she talks to her students about failure. And this is one where she just kind of like recoiled, like, yes, like that is a huge issue that as a community of teachers, like we need to work with that. But she also like grabbed it and like wants to address it very aggressively. And it's, because people need to be comfortable and okay to fail and grow. So I know you have a whole philosophy on this too. So what do you say to that when you hear that?
I'm like mentally calculating where to even start here because I have so much to say about it. But I'm going to start by telling you guys something. I've been tweeting Merriam-Webster Dictionary for a full year about their faulty definitions of success and failure. Okay, they have not once responded. But I think it's interesting because we're talking so much. First, I want to back up and say, why as math educators do we care so much about failure? When we try to solve, a lot of what we're facing in our classrooms is kids feeling anxious around math, and anxiety is simply a fear of failure. They're too scared to fail to put up the hand and ask a question, to start a question when they don't know how to do it, right? When they don't know how to take the first step. That is such a barrier for us because as mathematicians and people who do math, you've got to be willing to try some things, right? You just got to be willing to take a risk and try it. We talk a lot about failure, but failure cannot exist without success. The two are defined against each other, and let me tell you how Merriam-Webster defines it. Success is defined as the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. Failure is defined as an antonym. It's the opposite. How many of you guys have been in a toxic relationship? Okay, let me just work. This is gonna make sense. When you go into a relationship, is your aim or purpose to break up with the person? Unless you're Francesca on Love is Blind. No, okay, it's not. It's not. Your goal is to be with the person. How many times do you break up and a year later you're like, how did I date that loser? Like, right? Is that failure? You did not accomplish your aim of purpose. You technically failed at it, but you are in a way better situation now. So I hate the idea that failure and success have been defined as polar opposites when really the two cannot exist with one another. They go hand in hand. The whole point of success is a goalpost that moves as you change and grow. And the only way we show kids they're successful in math class, what is the only way? How do they know they're successful in our classrooms?
Grades.
Grades. That's the only way they know they're successful. That's the only way they know they're successful. And we only give grades if they get the right answer. Yet here we are. I have a friend, Melissa Dean, who says we cannot preach a growth mindset and then assess from a deficit mindset. And that is what we're doing. That's what we're doing every single day. We have to find ways to show students they're successful. And here's another thing I'm just going to say. I'll be transparent. We've all been screwed. Because we grew up in a world where the only way we felt validation in the classroom was through external validation, through grades, through someone else telling us how good we are. I am now an adult who, I'll tell you guys, if you don't follow me, all of you on Instagram after this, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, they hate me, they don't like me. I am so dependent on external validation because that's all I was taught. So there's two things that can happen here. Number one, let's teach our students how to internally validate themselves. Let's go into our classrooms on Monday and say, I want to talk about what success looks like, because you might be thinking, for me, success looks like growth and progress, but your students don't know that because they're only being assessed when they get the right answer, right? So I think one of the most effective things that we can do is to, and for us, what does success truly mean to you? Beyond the things we're told, like status and money and job, what does it mean? Let's discuss that with our students. Let's redefine what success looks like in the classroom. And once we redefine success, failure is no longer scary. Because failure becomes a part of that success, and the two become besties instead of frenemies.
So when you... And I gotta say, with social media, she is every 5 seconds, she is taking a picture of something and posting it. It's pretty amazing. As you started to say that, I'm just trying to picture you as a younger student. What was your own personal experience with math? You now have this really strong opinion.
I do.
But where were you when you were coming through your early
Thank you so much for asking that question. I always wanted to be a rock star and marry Keanu Reeves. and those are still my goals today. He's not married yet, and I am in a rock band.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Growth mindset. Yeah. And as I went to a very academic school and I failed grade 11 math twice. And the entire time I was failing it, all of my peers and my teachers would say, well, people like you just aren't really good at math, or, well, you're just more of the creative type, or don't worry about it. You have other strengths. And I was like, oh my God, totally. I'm meant to go to Hollywood and find Keanu. I'm good. In summer school, I finally passed grade 11 math with a 57. I'm from Canada, by the way, so I'm just talking about it in terms of grade 11, grade 12, because that's what it is there. I got a 57 in grade 11 math, and my parents were like, all right, we gotta switch things up, and they sent me to what was known back then as an alternative school. It was the sketchy school at the street corner. It was an office building. There were only 100 of us. We took an elevator to get to class. We called teachers by their first names. We didn't wear shoes. We didn't have to put up our hands to go to the bathroom. It sounds like these little things, but it changed the dynamic. And because it was such a small school, there were no the cheerleaders and the jocks and the chess and all the teen movie things. We only had one thing in common. We were all called misfits, and no one believed in us. So it was powerful in a way, because we were all in the same position. And I walked into my grade 12 math class, and I said to my teacher, Eva, who's still my best friend to this day, I said, you're going to have a lot of trouble with me. I'm not a math person. And she looked at me and she goes, you're not a what? And I go, oh, I'm not a math person. And then she just said the words that would change my life. And she looked at me and said, that's not a thing. And I got a 98% in grade 12 math. Don't clap. I know we don't care about marks anymore. Okay? But the point is, I became someone who is like, when I stumbled or I had a problem, I didn't shut down. I was like, oh, okay, well, who can I ask? What can I do? Like, I got a tutor, like all of these things. And really, it's true, guys. That speech I gave you at the beginning, I became someone who is like, oh my God, I can't believe so many of us are running around thinking this. Like, I need to change this. And honestly, I left that class being like, now that I'm not scared of failing, now that I know there's nothing I'm born incapable of doing, like, what else can I do? So.
Do you still talk to Eva?
We just did Christmas crafts. She edited my last book.
Christmas crafts? Really?
We do Christmas crafts every year, yeah.
Okay.
She's still, yeah.
Okay.
What we made gingerbread houses.
Gingerbread
I made
houses?
a Rubik's Cube.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. What would Eva say you were like as a student?
Oh, I've had her on my podcast, actually. You can hear the episode, and she's so organized. She, like, pulled up my old report cards and everything. So embarrassing. You know what Eva would do? She would call my parents anytime she was proud of me. She would call my parents and be like, did you know that Vanessa, like, did this thing in class? Did you? That was what Eva was like. I think this is a big thing is, I don't know about you guys, but we don't celebrate the moments because we live in a society that's so more. Like, it's like, a kid doesn't understand what a common denominator is and they fail that test. And then 3 months later, they take a test on, like, rationalizing equations. They totally understand the common denominator thing because now they're here. They can't rationalize equations. They maybe fail that test. But imagine if you were like, stop, take that test from 3 months ago. Now, take it today. And we never give them the moment to say, you got it. We've just moved on. So that was the thing about Eva. She always helped me celebrate all of those moments. And that's what kept me going so often. So I think she would say that I talked a lot. But that
Shocker.
But we want our students to talk, right? In math class? Maybe about math? Yeah.
Well, we've got a little surprise for you.
What?
Josh, would you let Eva in? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, this is Jerry Springer now.
But wouldn't that be so awesome if she did just walk in? I was just thinking, like, how cool that would be.
Okay.
Then you would have done cartwheels across the stage again. So another thing that I heard yesterday during the interviews was from our own Josh Parrish when we interviewed Josh. We were talking. Josh, recognize yourself? Who's with the collaborative? Yeah. Josh was a fourth grade math teacher, very vastly different high school math teacher, but had some really good comments to talk about resources and needs that are felt and required before kids can actually reach kind of a deeper learning, like almost like you have to prep the field before you can receive that. What is your take on, like, what does that mean to you? What are the needs that you think are most important?
So I think it's interesting because sometimes, like, as I said, I talk about math trauma a lot. And as you can imagine, there are the people that will roll their eyes and be like, math trauma, like, come on, just get the kids to memorize their times tables. Like, this is nonsense. And my friend Liesl McConchie, who's an amazing brain-based learning specialist, always says, a student's emotional relationship with math is paramount to their cognitive relationship with math. A student's emotional relationship with math is paramount to their cognitive relationship with math. If a kid walks into your room and they are anxious around math or they have a math trauma, you can have the best content and pedagogy in the entire world and it will not reach them. Our anxiety, I'm not going to get too sciencey here, but a couple of things I do know is that our anxiety response, it evolved because we needed it. Like, we used to be chased by tigers and we'd have to be scared and we'd have to be on. When a student who's anxious around math sees math, not even sees math, thinks about math, that exact same response goes off in their brain. Their brain is so busy fighting that potential tiger, their cognitive load resources are all used up. They can't hear us. So, like, and I will say this, like, I'm not going to be a weirdo, but, like, do you know what 5 + 3 is?
8.
No, does someone cheer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a juicy story after this, and you're not going to cheer. So imagine a tiger right now was chasing you and you were running from it. Do you think that fact would come to you?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
And it sounds like hyperbole. I'm going to tell you, can I tell my juicy story? Everyone's phones have to go away right now, because if I see you Googling this, I will stop.
No, Google it. Google it.
So I was on this show called Canada's Smartest Person.
Was this like a phone a friend kind of show? Where
No,
you get
this
to
was
do
like
that?
a legitimate like game show.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be on the show. Well, I did want to be on the show because, as you know, probably by now, I want to be famous. But like, I didn't really like the premise. The premise was like everyone's gonna come on the show and they have different intelligences. Like, there's the athletic person and the English, and I was on there as like the math guru, like Vanessa, the math guru. And so I go in, and this should be a fun experience. Like, but I'm so stressed out. Like, I'm gonna mess up the math part, and like da 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 da. And imagine we're in a studio way bigger than this. My parents are in the front row. Like, this is going to be broadcasted to all of Canada. The first challenge comes on, and it's like something about like picking up marbles with chopsticks. I don't even know. Somehow I make it through. Someone else gets kicked off. Then there's another challenge. Like every challenge, one person gets kicked off, right? Finally, we get to the math challenge. They set up the entire studio like it's a grocery store. So oh my God, this is actually so coincidental because this is about apples. No, wait, because you don't even know the story yet. Okay, so they set up the whole thing like a grocery store, and all of us are like at aisles, right? And the question pops up. I'm Canadian. I realize you guys are American, so I have to tell you right now, we have toonies in Canada. They're $2 coins. Okay, this is relevant. The question is, you buy an apple that costs $3. You give the cashier $4. How much change do you get back? Look at how shy you guys all are. The answer is $1. Guess who puts $2 in the cash register? The math girl. And honestly, guys, it was so humiliating. The host is like, the only person to get this wrong is the math guru. My parents are like crying, being like, why do we pay for your education? Like the whole thing. And I'm like blacking out. The next question is like 5 minus 2. I'm like 4. Like I have no idea what's going on. Like none. It was so embarrassing, but the fact that it is causing laughter right now is bringing me great joy. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me because it allowed me to feel for myself that math anxiety has nothing to do with ability. Math anxiety. That was really nice, guys. The only way the two are related is math anxiety will prevent you from actualizing your ability because your brain's resources are used up. And that I think our students need to know. I hear students say to me all the time, how can I be good at math when I'm so nervous around it? Did I even answer your question? What are we talking about?
It's
okay,
good.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
This is like the easiest interview ever. I just like throw one thing out there and it's just like, it's great. It's so easy.
I guess Eva was right. I talk a lot.
Okay, let me ask you this then. These are just big open-ended questions, but like we've thrown out these different things, we've thrown out these myths. What do we do? Like what should be like the collective focus of our community? Like everyone here is devoted to this, right? Everyone here has some stake involved in it, and the people we talk to have been amazing in what they're each individually doing. But like, what do you think we collectively need to be focusing on?
I was thinking of this like recycling the other day.
Canadian recycling or American recycling? Because if you've been to Canada, there's 15 recycling cans. It's a big deal.
We take our recycling very seriously. But no, here's what I was thinking about. I was thinking I never want to ask an individual to be in charge of changing a systemic problem, right? I don't want to be like, well, we need to do, and I think of it as recycling because obviously we should all recycle, but like the real issue is with like the whole, whatever. I'm not going to get all into recycling. I think that knowledge is power, and I think that the fact that we're having this conversation, that people are interested in this conversation is very powerful. I hate when I think about an issue in a way that I feel powerless to solve or to, so I hate thinking, well, like it's so big, there's nothing I can do about it. I think there's power in numbers. We're all kind of into math. We know kind of a little bit about exponential growth. I think if all of us commit to like one, like, are you guys down to commit to like one little thing maybe? We have a hand up, yeah? Like, just wait, that's not fair. I didn't even tell you what the thing is. That's not, okay, let me set you up better than that. I think if we could all eradicate the phrase, I'm not a math person, I truly believe that could be so powerful because I can't tell you how many kids and adults I know that will say something like math person, you're a math person, I'm not a math person. And it just, again, it's not like our fault. This is common lexicon and these are words we use. But every time we say it, it perpetuates the idea that there are some people who are born who can't and some people who can. And the narrative continues. So I believe, like, there's like, honestly, like 150 people in this room right now. If we were all like, I'm not going to say it. I'm just not going to say it anymore. Like, I have this thing called choose again. It's like a Gabby Bernstein method where like you just choose a better thought. If you're thinking to yourself, if you're in this room being like, but I'm not a math person, could I encourage you to, instead of saying that, instead say to yourself, I don't actually know how good at math I am yet. I wasn't given the opportunity. I'm not as great as math as I want to be. I don't have as healthy of a relationship with math as I want. Any of that is better than saying I'm not a math person. And I wonder if like we all do that. And then if you want to be like me, like a total psycho, anytime someone says that, to be like, whoa, 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 hold on a second. Can we choose a better, more reflective thought than that? I think that could make, like, no, is that going to change like all the systems and policy? No, but if we all start collectively deciding there's no such thing as a math person, I think that would be, I'm going to say it, I think that would change the equation.
Well, obviously, you know that we are fans, and this whole campaign that we're doing around these shirts that have been plastered all around, and I gotta tell you, we've gotten a lot of great feedback about the phrasing and the postering that we've done here. And I think most people do agree, like, we need to stop saying that. We get that we're not just trying to be cute with this. We get that this is complicated. We get that there is much that we have to do around commitment from states and policies that need to change. If there's going to be a numeracy act in a state, what does it do? What kind of supports are behind it? It's got to be real. There's got to be real content in classrooms. There's got to be the right curriculum that is being provided to teachers and not just dropped in their laps, but given to them with the supports that they need to actually implement it. And what is the right content that they need to get? Like, can we get somewhere around agreeing that it should be doing certain things? And is it taught in the right way so that it is received by every kid? Not just the white kids, the black, brown, everybody understands what the communication is. And finally, like, are we getting the right champions that are involved in this too? Like, more people need to be talking about this, and more people need to be really adopting this phrase of, it's not okay to say that you're not a math person. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. We're going to see a lot more coming around from this. One last question. We're almost done.
Wait, what? I feel like that was 10 minutes.
I know. We have, can we get a sense of, like, what do you guys think are in the bag? How many apples?
Honey Crisp apples are in the bag?
Honey Crisp, which are large. How many are in the bag?
52 we've got. What else do we have?
60, 75, 43, 42, 48.
Oh. What?
1,300.
Okay, did we get to reveal? Somebody
reveal.
said the right answer.
It's
Not
40?
okay. Wait, not that the right answer is important.
Yes.
Okay.
So can we say one funny thing about this too? Is we had someone this morning, where we said that someone said that there could be 10 apples in this bag, and we went, no, that's ridiculous. He goes, well, you didn't tell me that it was the maximum. Yeah. So like, yeah, he's right. I'm like, man, he got us. Like, that's right. We didn't ask the right question.
We didn't ask the right question.
What's the maximum number of apples that can be there? I was like, math. Got us on math. And the answer is?
The answer, you just got it. The answer is 48.
48 apples.
48. And you get to take home this whole bag of apples.
Come on. TSA is going to love this.
Oh my God. Guys, seriously, we're talking about champions and all this stuff. And I want to say that every single one of you, like, I've tried to make eye contact with all of you, but I actually can't see that well. I need a new prescription. You're all so amazing, and I know you're all coming here from completely different areas and passions and like experiences with math, and I just think that is the most beautiful thing, is all of us aligning on this goal and this purpose, and we all care about it in some way. And your students and your kids and your friends are so lucky to have you in their lives, and I do believe that you're going to change, and you are changing the world far beyond your classrooms. So thank
you for that. And may I say again, please see all the contact information on the screen here. We have our QR codes. If you hit that QR code, we would love to send you more information. Reach out to us. Vanessa's podcast, their math therapy podcast, is up there, how you reach her. And we will have a lot more coming around our campaign in the coming weeks and months. And thank you.
Should we take a selfie?
Can you do that?
Yeah, let's take a selfie. Let's take a selfie. Okay, wait, get up. Okay, guys, we're doing it. Everyone has to stand up. It has to look good. Like, let's get some enthusiasm in here. Okay. Oh my God, this is gonna be so cute. Okay, on the count of 3,
What do you say?
we're gonna yell, there's no such thing as a math person. No, we have to, I'm a math person. Okay, can I be the most obnoxious person? Everyone take 1 step towards the middle. I promise this is gonna be worth it. And then follow me on Instagram so you can see it. Okay, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm a math person! Hey, wait, no, we're doing a video. Okay, hold on, this is gonna be worth it. Okay, hold on, you're gonna yell this. 1, 2, 3.
I'm a